Zimbardo, doktorem honoris causa Creole.
It is with humility, yet considerable pride, that I accept this honorary degree and share some of my ideas with my colleagues and friends here in Warsaw and with the students and faculty. This is a very memorable occasion in my life, a truly amazing ceremony. But the basic themes of my remarks are about discovering new ways to liberate people, meaning free people, from their self-imposed prisons of the mind, as well as the externally imposed situational and systemic forces of evil that limit our basic freedoms and reduce our human potential for personal success and national greatness. A secondary theme I want to explore with you today is finding new ways to inspire the heroic imagination in our young people. In doing so, we enable them to accept a new self-definition as ordinary heroes in training. In Paradise Lost, the poet John Milton set the platform for the view I want to talk about today, about the nobility and facility of the human mind, that the mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, or a hell of heaven. That further serves to remind us of two famous statements crucial in creating the United Nations as a communal setting to deal with constructively problems among nation states. Then the first UN Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld asserted, the UN was not created to take mankind to heaven, but to save humanity from hell. I would propose a more optimistic view that we should be engaged in the joint task of creating more heavenly joys for people on earth, while working collectively to challenge the forces of evil that would lead us down the slippery slope of evil to a metaphorical hell. Second, if you remember the preamble to UNESCO's Constitution asserted, since wars begin in the minds of men, and really not the minds of women, it is in the minds of men that defenses of peace must be constructed. I am forced to add the amendment, it is in the minds of women as well, and also men, that the defenses of peace and unwavering opposition to corruption and injustice must be constructed and sustained. I spent much of my past 50 years of my academic life as a social psychologist, as a researcher and educator, trying to develop programs that demonstrate the vulnerability of most people, in fact, often the majority of people we know and care about, that when they're caught up in the vortex of powerful social situations, get transformed and good people do evil. In fact, I have created controlled conditions in the laboratory and in field settings to allow my research team to test causal hypotheses about the nature of human nature. Because I am passionate about understanding the dynamics of human nature in its many facets, I have toiled in research domains that have been very varied, studying mind control and shyness and madness and vandalism and prisons and torture and terrorism and cults, along with time perspective. In general, my colleagues and my collaborators and I have shown that social conditions can exert powerful influences over the way we think, over the way we feel, and ultimately in the way we act, even though we are not aware of the subtle and pervasive impact on us. Because we always underestimate the power of situational forces, and we always overestimate the power of free will and individual determination. I've been privileged to be able to explore the darker side of human nature for these many years, not out of idle curiosity, but in order to find ways of shedding new light on them. Because psychologists are optimistic. We believe that if we understand the mechanisms, the processes, the means by which any behavior occurs, then we are in a position to modify it if it's negative. And rather than just modify or treat it with therapy, with education, is to prevent it. It has become part of my agenda to act as an agent for social change in promoting the psychology of liberation. In recent years, I've been devoting more and more my intellectual energy and my academic credibility to discovering new ways in which I can help to liberate people from various prisons of the mind. In my famous Stanford prison study, the prisoners and the guards made it a psychological prison. They stopped thinking of it as an experiment, and once they did, it became a real prison in their mind. So the prisoners limited their own freedom. And it really is the same with shyness. Nobody makes you shy. You say, I am a shy person, and therefore, I limit my own freedom. Freedom of association, freedom of speech. So my goal then is how do we liberate people from the prisons of the mind, and also the mind influences the spirit. Because those limitations diminish our human dignity. They reduce our personal autonomy, and ultimately they can curtail our freedom of expression and our freedom of social association. So in that Stanford prison experiment, which this summer will be 40 years old, we demonstrated how easy it is for ordinary people, even educated college students from all over the United States, to behave in evil ways toward each other when they felt de-individuated or anonymous, when they experienced dehumanization, combined with a realistic prison simulation. Normal, healthy college students randomly assigned to play the roles, like in a movie, of prisoners or guards, in a very short time became prisoners and guards. As you know, the experiment, which was designed to go for 2 weeks, I had to end after 6 days because it was out of control. Because boys who were chosen because they were normal and healthy, 5 of them had emotional, psychological breakdowns. And the reason they did is because many of the guards were treating them in sadistic, brutal ways.